have a very interesting video for you guys. I was inspired to do a series of videos here on my channel using books that I have yet to read. I was inspired by Lily C. Reads to do this. She has recently been uploading videos on her channel about reading Harry Potter for the first time. She's talking about her experience reading the books and including vlog footage of her actual experience as she was reading. And so I decided that I was going to mimic that and turn it into a series here on my channel. So for the first books that I'm going to be reading for this series, I chose Twilight by Stephenie Meyer. I know, I've never read Twilight. During the time that everybody was reading Twilight, I was kind of out of the fantasy loop at the time. I had read fantasy when I was younger and I had kind of lost interest in it for a while, and Twilight was definitely just a phase that completely happened during the time when I was not interested. Another reason that I did not read Twilight is because it was popular. I have this issue with reading stuff that's popular. And you guys will see this further down the road with other videos in this series, because you'll be seeing other books that I read and you're going to be like, wow, you seriously didn't read that book? And you'll see why. Or, wow, you seriously didn't finish this series? And you'll see a pattern of those things. I want to tell you guys ahead of time that this will contain spoilers, like everything. So if you don't want to have any kind of spoilers, wait until after you read the book to watch this video. So the first thing I would like to do is tell you guys what it is that I knew about Twilight before going into the series. I only knew the names of 3 characters: Edward, Bella, and Jacob. I knew that Edward was a vampire and that vampires sparkled, and that Bella eventually down further in the series will get pregnant, and that her baby is imprinted on, I believe, by one of the 2 guys. She gets pregnant by one of them and the other one imprints on her baby. That's all I know. That's it. Yeah. And I know that it's like a love triangle between her, Bella, and Jacob like the entire time. And there was this huge war within the fandom about it, that there was Team Edward or Team Jacob. And it was a huge deal. The second thing I would like to do before we get into the vlog footage is to tell you a little bit about what I expected going into the books. I expected that the story was going to be extremely cheesy, extremely corny, cliche, that there was going to be a lot of icky romance scenes that were like cringy and problematic. I expected a lot of problematic issues within the relationships, within how Edward, Bella, and Jacob treat each other. I expected a lot of issues within the story revolving solely around those 3 characters. I expected the writing style to be similar to the styles of Veronica Roth and Suzanne Collins, and the quality of the writing to be around that range, maybe more poor than that. I expected it to be extremely angsty. So next I'm going to roll all of the vlog footage so you guys can experience me reading the story along with you. I have finished the first chapter today so far, and I wanted to share a couple thoughts. My first thought as far as her writing goes is that she uses quite a few big words, and that surprised me. I like the representation of high school teenageriness. The lady at the desk asks her how her day was, and she's like, fine, I lied. Literally her day was perfectly okay except for one thing. So fine should have been an honest answer. They actually have a class together right after she finds out who this guy is. It's like the most cliche thing. Cringy, so cringy. Okay, so first off, let's take a moment for how angsty Bella is. Like, every little thing is like the worst, and she's not athletic or anything like that. She's smart, but she's still klutzy. Where they go camping every other weekend. Dun dun dun. Okay, obviously when the Cullens are going camping every other weekend, it's like they're going out and getting a bunch of blood. Clearly. A little moment where it's like, when he touched me, it stung my hand as if an electric current had passed through us. Is that because he's a vampire or because she likes it? And the precious thing that Charlie had put the snow chains on there, I thought that was so precious. I like Charlie. I'm interested to understand exactly why the mom left. We've gotten little glimpses of like what it might be, that maybe he's a bit of a workaholic. It was really cliche though, the whole him saving her from the car accident thing. Super cliche. That was the first night I dreamt of Edward Cullen. Ugh, here we go. So now it's really getting very cheesy and cliche. Definitely better than I thought it was going to be. The way that she uses her words is very mature as a writer. Maybe too mature for her characters sometimes, but I enjoy it. I'm enjoying the writing. I hate that Bella assumes that Edward wishes that he hadn't saved her from the car. Like, that's really stupid of her to think that. I couldn't allow him to have this level of influence over me. LOL. Too late, babe. Too late. It's unrealistic to have so many guys be interested in Bella to the point where they're like gutsy enough to actually go up to her and ask her out to the dance and stuff, especially when it's the girls' choice dance. Like, that's stupid. That's not how it works. Obviously, if it was the girls' choice dance, then it wouldn't have mattered. And they shouldn't have been asking her. I think that Jessica's character is pretty great. She's not a perfect person, but you're still rooting for her, and I love that. I think that Bella is actually pretty sweet sometimes, and I really like that about her character. The cliche, you really should stay away from me. Ugh. Bleh. So I tabbed this for theories. They're up there, and he's like, people can't smell blood. And she's like, well, I can. That's what makes me. So I think that maybe Edward thinks that maybe she is like some sort of like non-human creature. I'm glad that it finally was kind of explained away why the language is so mature. Okay, Lauren, when I saw her at chapter 6, I was like, who the heck is Lauren? I don't even know who this person is, but she's probably from one of the classes. That's one thing I didn't like, is that we got so many names at first and I don't remember who is who at all. I was glad later when we understood why she didn't like Bella, though. Oh, the whole it's not a good place for camping thing was really interesting to me. And I'm like, ooh, bear blood. That's it. So that was my theory. They go there and they get bear blood because they don't want to be drinking human blood, because they want to be civilized vampires. And so they go there and they steal blood from bears. And that's how they survive as vampires. Theory. The whole thing between her and Lauren is just obnoxious. So Jacob was introduced a lot earlier than I thought he was going to be, and his whole initial introduction with Bella was really weird to me. Some of the dialogue is a little cringy. Trusting the internet, I can't. With her like way that she's like suddenly like started to like look into the whole vampire thing, I don't really like the way that that was introduced. I wish it had been done better. And then she goes to the forest. What the heck? Seriously, are you stupid? Have you never seen a horror film? Have you never seen a horror film trailer? And with the cliche, him saving her from the creepy dudes, like seriously, sometimes he has a temper problem, which probably has something to do with his vampiriness, his vampirism. Update. So I'm about to start reading. I'm at Sonic. I wanted to show you guys how cheap I am. It is 1:27 at the moment, and I am literally sitting at Sonic, and I'm gonna wait for 30 minutes and read for that 30 minutes. But I'm waiting literally just because in 30 minutes I will get my drink for half price. So literally just sitting here waiting. You guys, I think stuff is about to go down. I think Edward is about to tell Bella that he's a vampire. Because she says, you can trust me, you know. And he says, I don't know if I have a choice anymore. I was wrong. You're much more observant than I gave you credit for. I think he's going to tell her. So But he can basically read minds as a vampire, which makes absolutely zero sense to me. We'll head into the traffic. Now it's your turn. I so thought he was gonna tell her, and now it's the next chapter and he still hasn't told her. Apparently the rest of his family can't read minds though, so I'm really confused because I was like super sure that they're all vampires.
About 3 things I was absolutely positive. First, Edward was a vampire. Second, there was part of him, and I didn't know how potent that part might be, that thirsted for my blood. And third, I was unconditionally and irrevocably in love with him. Okay, you've known this guy for like 2 seconds. 2 seconds. How do you know you're actually in love with him?
He said, "I'm not always the most dangerous thing out there. Let's leave it at that." And I started and I put dun dun dun. And I think that he's talking about like werewolves or something. Are you judging me? You're judging me. Judging my judger pants. If leaving is the right thing to do, then I'll hurt myself to keep from hurting you, to keep you safe. I glared, and don't you think I would do the same? And then he says, you'd never have to make the choice. I think that's foreshadowing that eventually she's gonna have to make a choice between like being hurt or keeping him from getting hurt. I just realized that like Bella and Jacob's little like kind of infatuation with each other really started because she was using him to get information. It kind of is explaining a little bit of why he acted the way he did and kind of explaining his behavior at the beginning of the book when he first meets Bella and why he is so kind of rude to her. And Edward finally kissed her. He looked at Bella in a weird way. His eyes darted at her and then he looked away again. So I think that Alice is seeing something about Edward and Bella together. I thought it was funny how Bella's dad detached her battery cable so she couldn't leave in the middle of the night. And then Sam thought it was funny too. Her like fainting because of him kissing her was really stupid. I really enjoy how open Bella and Edward are with each other. They really say how they feel with one another. I don't like how Bella has kind of been an icky friend in the last little bit. She didn't pay attention to Jessica when Jessica called about the dance or anything like that. Rosalie really hating her and being like a jerk and not even like willing to help save her life. Like, wow. So then I had a theory. What if Rosalie actually is in love with Edward now? Like, she thought she was in love with Emmett and now she's like with Emmett, but she's not actually in love with him, and that's why she is jealous of Bella. And the dude has her mom. Oh my gosh, she's freaking idiot. Why doesn't she just tell them? I mean, what's he gonna do? He can't know if she told him or not. I think Alice knows. The whole heart rate thing while she's in the hospital when he kissed her and blah blah blah, so stupid. Alice already saw it, didn't she? That's why the things she says upset you. I know she knows I'm going to be like you someday. And then he says, she's wrong. She also saw you dead, but that didn't happen either. So there's a possibility that Bella is going to be turned into a vampire in the future. I didn't like that Bella got so mad about the whole prom thing. Okay, so that was all of my vlog footage, and I also watched the movie, so I will be including my thoughts on the film adaptation as well. So I'm going to be dividing it into the different categories of how I have it tabbed. So first, let's talk about the writing. I was extremely surprised by the writing style of Stephenie Meyer. I expected it to be a lot more simple in the writing style, and honestly, I was shocked at how well it was written. In my opinion, I think the writing is better than Divergent and Hunger Games. There were a lot of big words, a lot of eloquent phrases that I was surprised by. Words like verbose. The way that she manipulated some of the phrases, for example, I kept my face pulled back into my hood. His eyes released me. There were a couple of spots I found that she was kind of telling the story rather than showing. I really like how she incorporated little tiny moments and elements that brought you more into the world, and subtle things that reminded you about the characters and their abilities. For example, Alice's phone seemed to be at her ear before it buzzed. Nothing was moving in slow motion the way it does in movies. Instead, the adrenaline rush seemed to make my brain work much faster, and I was able to absorb in clear detail several things at once. I really love the way that she wrote that. So those are some of my thoughts about the writing. Overall, I really enjoyed the writing style of Stephenie Meyer and would definitely pick up some of her other books. Next, let's talk about some quotes. So few questions had been answered in comparison to how many new questions had been raised. My head spun around in answerless circles. It's the safest time of day for us, the easiest time, but also the saddest in a way. The end of another day, the return of the night. Darkness is so predictable, don't you think? Just because we've been dealt a certain hand, it doesn't mean that we can't choose to rise above, to conquer the boundaries of a destiny that none of us wanted. To try to retain whatever essential humanity we can. I know love and lust just don't always keep the same company. I can't always be Lois Lane, I insisted. I want to be Superman too. Those are the quotes that I really enjoyed and tabbed. Moving on, I'd like to talk about character development. I really like how we learn little tidbits and little nuggets about Edward and his family throughout. She's so angsty. Bella is so angsty because he says, but I'd be willing to bet that you are suffering more than you let anyone see. So, and at first I was like, ooh, he must be very discerning, which is true. He definitely is a very discerning person. Later on we find out that's more because of his abilities that he's so discerning than it is that he's just a discerning person. However, it still must be true because he can't hear Bella's thought like he can everybody else. And then we get the what if I'm not a superhero, what if I'm the bad guy? So that definitely tells a little bit about his character. That tells us about how he views himself. We see that sometimes the character development comes through the eyes of the person who we're learning more about and what they're learning or what they know about themselves. And then other times it's developed through how another character is viewing them, especially Bella, because we're seeing from her perspective through the story. I like how we get some backstory to our vampire characters, but I do feel like it was somewhat excessive. You don't always give all of this backstory right away. I really liked the development of Alice's character in the fact that she finds out about her own past. I wished for the green protective forests of Forks, ... of home. I loved that. I love that development of her character into how she's fallen in love with Forks. Next, I'm going to talk about relationship development. I really loved so much the development of the relationship between Charlie and Bella. I like how she subtly incorporated the moments between characters like Jessica and Mike, and how she subtly incorporated the development of their relationship. My main complaint, I guess, as far as relationships go, is just that because Bella Bella's romance takes up so much of the story. All other relationships kind of go by the wayside. Things between Edward's family and Bella, I just thought were precious in their friendship and types of development. So now we've gotten all the platonic relationships aside, let's dive into some of the romantic elements. Because I would see Edward Cullen on page 54. So we're only this far into book and she already knows she has a crush on the dude. There are so many cliche things in the story. All of the cliches are overshadowing the good parts of what we're seeing. I thought it was really great relationship wise that she was like, okay, what did I do wrong so that I can know how to, you know, when you want to kiss me and I want to kiss you, what did I do wrong so that next time when we want to kiss, I know how to act so that we can, you know, do this without, you know, you trying to kill me. It's really precious how much they're interested in what the other person is thinking. And how open they are. I really love the reasoning behind why Edward doesn't want to turn her into a vampire. The main problematic elements I found that there were too many guys surrounding Bella, and that is not really realistic. I really didn't like the slurs about multiple personality disorder and being mentally handicapped that occurred on page 82 and 83 in my copy. That really frustrated me, really made me mad. It was unnecessary and very, very disrespectful. Completely wrong to treat mental illness that way. It's completely wrong. Unacceptable, really, and I can't believe that anybody would let that be print in a book and be okay with it and say, yeah, we'll just put that in our book and print it. We speak about things that are a reality in people's lives, in real human lives. I did not like the way that Edward towed her towards his car, like grabbed her by the back of her shirt or by the back of her jacket and like drug her towards the car. One of the tropish kind of things was we had the whole Bella thinking, you know, oh, I look a lot like my mom except she's prettier. That we had this image of the other girls clustered gossiping excitedly. Sometimes Edward had this demanding kind of nature. Another slur is used later on, being so clumsy that I'm almost disabled. It really bothered me that she was talking about, I suppose I could purposefully put myself in danger to keep him close, but now I wanted him to be expecting disasters. The entire thing about him watching her sleep and the fact that she was flattered by it instead of freaked out, another issue, another huge issue. Relationships should not be like that. The whole thing where she collapsed because of the kiss, and then the whole heartbeat, oh my gosh, the little heart monitor stopped when they were kissing and he freaked out for a second and then it started back up, so he was okay. The whole thing where she got mad about the prom thing. All in all, those are my thoughts on Twilight. So I believe I rated this like a 4 out of 5 stars. I rated this like a 3 or a 4 out of 5 stars. I don't remember off the top of my head. And be sure to hit that subscribe button and click the little notification bell so that you'll be notified when I upload my video about New Moon. Let me know in the comments what books you think I should use for this series. And without any further ado, peace out, Bear Scouts.